18 months of running my business, I didn't pay myself. Me and Alex didn't earn a wage. People misunderstand that. We might have a nice car and house now, but back then we could not afford to pay ourselves. So many people have those demons and they think, oh, I can't get out of this, or I can't become that thing. It's the self-limiting beliefs that get in the way. Hi there, I want to view a property. Okay, I'll book it in for you. And agents do that. And I think, wow, no wonder you're closing down branches. They feel heard, they have a clear path of where they want to go, and they have people around them that are doing the thing they're asking them to do. That stems from the top.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sales Cadence Podcast. My name's Matt Sykes, I'm your host, and as always, it's an absolute pleasure to have you aboard. If you're new to the show and you like what you hear, feel free to click the subscribe button at the end of this show so you never miss another episode in future. If you're a regular listener, thank you so much for being part of the evolving journey. We're doing what we can here on the Sales Cadence Podcast to link the worlds of sales, business, and entrepreneurship. You know, quite often I can find a link with many successful people that I see, in fact, some of the guests that we've had on the show as well, where they've been through some kind of emotional challenge earlier in their lives. And it appears that this experience that they've been through has prepared them for their future life. And it's had a profound effect on them in terms of their attitude towards life. They almost have this kind of superpower. They create real resilience that allows them to create success and achievement for themselves. And my guest today falls firmly into that category. Joining me on the episode is Jamie Minors. Jamie is the co-founder of Minors Brady Estate Agents and Lettings. They're an award-winning estate agents, and it's very much a people business, not a property business. Jamie is also the co-owner of Norfolk Mortgages. He runs his own one-to-one coaching and mentoring business. He's an angel investor, and if that wasn't enough, he also has his own podcast too. Here's a guy who really knows how to get the best out of himself, out of his businesses, out of his life, and out of other people. And I hope you find this conversation that he and I had both as engaging and uplifting as I did. Ready to go there? Jamie Minors, welcome to the Sales Cadence Podcast.
Hello Matt, thanks for having me on.
Perhaps you'd be kind enough just to explain a little bit about yourself.
No problem at all. You may have to interrupt me if I ramble here, Matt. But
don't worry about that. That's my job. I'll do that.
I'm Jamie Minors. I'm 31 and I co-own Minors Brady Estate Agents and Norfolk Mortgages. So yeah, it's a estate agency business, lettings, mortgages. And for myself personally, I live locally. I grew up in Norfolk. I've got a 2-year-old son called Maxwell and a fiancée, Sarah, who keeps me grounded just about.
So I have a question for you. Remember when you're back in high school, last year in high school, you probably got pulled into some kind of careers advice lesson. They ask you the question, so what do you want to be when you grow up, Jamie? Do you remember what you wanted to be back then?
Back then, I wanted to be a football coach or a PE teacher.
Okay, tell me a bit about that. What you had a passion for football?
Yeah, I was just football obsessed. I loved football and I loved the fun of it. You felt free, it was a form of escapism, and when playing sport, you feel connected to other people in your team. So it's something that I loved. I was incredibly competitive beyond belief from the upbringing from my father, and I had to win at everything at all times. So football for me was a great way to do that. I was actually coaching football when I was 16, 17, and then I got a grilling from my dad saying, this won't earn you enough money, you won't be able to pay your bills, you need a harsh rethink.
And how did you deal with that advice?
What's it got to do with you? That's the kind of thing I said back, probably. But as I sulked and probably whinged, I then realised that I was money focused because as a child, my independence was the most important thing to me. When I was 10 years old, my mum ran away from home. I didn't have a mother from age 10 to 18. I was then moved in with my father, who didn't have any kids living with him, and he didn't understand the process. I didn't understand the process of living with him, and I had no independence. And for me, to have your life taken out of your hands then meant that from 10 to 18, I was going to take back control of that when I turned 18. So everything I did was money focused. It was about winning. But as the years went on, I realised I needed my own income to be self-sufficient and not to rely upon other people, because other people, unfortunately, can let you down.
What I found, Jamie, maybe you see the same, is most people that are successful in life, and you can label success in any way you want, I tend to see the same circumstance in pretty much most successful people's lives, which is something's happened in their childhood which has driven them in that direction. Sometimes that can be tragedy and trauma, sometimes it can be something else, but in your case it's pretty clear that without a major part of your family around, did that shape your direction in terms of what you do today?
Certainly, because I was youngest of 5, so I had 3 brothers and 1 sister, and to see different scenarios in their life pan out, and for me to have such a drastic change of seeing my dad every 2 weeks up to the age of 10 for 2 hours, 3 hours on a Saturday, to then totally flipping the two situations and life pans, it gave me totally different viewpoints, and it gave me different experiences of lower income versus higher income and what those lives can look like, but also family relationships. They changed also. But it drilled into me that you can only rely upon yourself, which is quite sad, but looking back, I needed that, and now I don't feel that way. But back then, that was my perspective. And it was a case of I need to earn money, because money can provide me with a house can provide me with security, and if I've got that myself, I'm in control. And for me, that's a necessity. And I agree, Matt, you look back at lots of people that I've met over the years, and they're successful people, the classic phrase is they're either running away from something or running towards something. Now, if you can do both, that's some serious firepower.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. That away motivation to motivation is something that it can be quite compelling. Listen, I want to dive a little bit more into that, because I really would like the listener to at least experience your story of how you created Minors and Brady. But before we do that, I did ask you to come prepared with 2 or 3 pieces of advice. You're happy just to give me a headline over what are the 2 or 3 things that we're going to effectively spend most of the time talking about?
The first one, Matt, is turning pain into success and being relentless.
Okay.
The second one is how to build winning culture in your teams and have people as your greatest asset. And the third is taking a 360 approach to life and business, because the whole thing is interlinked.
Okay, so before we go there, let's just unpack you a little bit, if you don't mind. Someone stops you in the street and says, what do you do? What do you tell them?
It's a good question, because as time's gone on, it was always I sell property, because I did. Whereas now I don't actually sell homes. I haven't sold a home in ages. So now what do? I run businesses. I run teams. I help drive people, and I help motivate people and inspire them.
Is there a strategy that you adopt to help inspiring people? Is there a sort of a playbook that you have, or does it you just, for want of a better expression, wing it?
No. The playbook's been built over the years. But for me, I have a genuine, sincere passion for helping people become better. I think because I was in such a low place at so many times in my life that I don't want other people to be there. I look at them and say, I don't want you to be where I was. That was a dark zone. So I want to use all my experiences that I've had and learning curves and highs and lows, and use that and help other people to become sharp, hungry, and help them reach their goals. Because so many people have those demons and they think, I can't get out of this, or I can't become that thing. It's the self-limiting beliefs that get in the way of people. We are so powerful as humans. I'm not saying that as some fluffy, airy thing in the sky, but we have so much capability and talent that we just don't tap into it. So for me, that's my kick. I used to get a kick from selling properties. I used to love it. Great, do a deal, I'm the man, feel great. There comes a time when that goes, and that went for me, and my passion then totally transformed into driving other people.
Do you remember putting your finger on that point when selling stopped being exciting for you?
Not an exact point, but it came to a point when it was no longer a challenge, because I felt as though I'd mastered my field. I felt as though I was totally in control of closing those deals.
Is this before you set up Minors and Brady, or is
No. This was after setting up.
Okay.
This was after setting up. Yeah. I still had the buzz when I was operating in the early couple of years. That was hard.
And it was just the two of you at the time, right?
It was initially just me as a sole trader.
Okay.
And that was phenomenally hard.
Yeah.
No one to high five back at the office and no one to sort of celebrate those wins. But no, the sticking point of wanting to then lead others came further down the line. But when I was an employee, I still had that drive to close business and sell. And when I set up the business initially back in December 2014, I still had that drive.
Let's just go back then to that when you first set up Minors and Brady. It was in 2014?
As a sole trader,
Yeah.
Minors & Co. 2014.
Minors and Co.
And then
2014.
me and Alex came together June the 1st, 2015.
And so you and Alex join up. Who drove that? What was the story about? Why didn't you just carry on doing your own thing? Why share half your profits?
Yeah, it's a great story. So I set up as a sole trader at 22. And I went into an area, Wroxham, where one of the agents had been there for 30 years and the other for 28. And I was 22. So I was going into an area, and you can work the maths out of age,
Yeah.
but it was impossible. It was an impossible task. But I did well. I was pulling off results. It was moving in the right direction. I felt lonely. I realised actually I like building things with other people. And Alex was due to set up his business, Alexander's. We're on the doorstep of each other. We were competitors. We got along quite well.
But you were only brought together through,
Competition.
networking or competition.
Just pure competition.
So you'd not met before?
Briefly. We'd gone to houses. We were back to back.
Right.
I would beat him at most. We'd have a laugh about it. He'd go into an appointment and he'd come out and I'd say, "Did you sign it?" He'd say no. I said, "Well, don't bother chasing him up because I'll sign it." That kind of thing. It was really funny. I actually respected him, and I do respect him, of course, now. But I said, "Look, I'll give you some free advice. What went wrong, challenges I've had, and if anything, you can take some stuff away and we can work together, from a distance." We met up, had a good chat, and we were both like, "Why don't we just do this together? Why not just combine our forces, use our skill sets, and build something special together?" Because building by yourself is really hard. Mentally, financially. I didn't want an investor. I didn't want any free money. So we went in together, and it's the best thing we ever did.
Sales still important within the business?
Oh, it's the most important thing.
But why?
Selling is a multifaceted, I suppose, term for many things. It's relationships, it's closing deals, it's maintaining. It's a way of people, particularly in our industry of property. We are property experts. Well, actually, we're not. We do sell property. We understand property. Could you go into an estate agent's office today and can they build you a home? No. So are they property experts, really? And this is something I've learned over the years. I thought I was a property expert. Well, I can't build a house from scratch. I'm not a property expert. I thought I was, but actually I'm not. What we are is, if anything, we're more towards a people expert. Although, can you ever be a full expert? I'm not sure. But that's when I then realised that this industry of property is actually more about people. People's emotions, people's whys, people's desires, and how we can help find a solution to their problem. That's the root cause, really, of what we're doing. Is buyer has a problem or home mover has a problem. We need to understand that problem and find the right solution. It could be a family home. They've got a baby on the way. Amazing. There's no room in the house. They're standing on Lego, and the other child's 3 years old, and it's carnage. Their issue isn't necessarily the house. Their issue is the root cause, which is they have no room, no space. They're killing each other in the house, and they need to find that solution. That's what we do as agents, really.
I probably should have asked this question before you gave that brilliant answer. That's how you sell a house then, right?
That's how you should sell a house. A buyer calls up, "Hi there, I want to view a property." "Okay, I'll book it in for you." That's a crap agent.
Yeah.
And agents do that. And I hear them do that. And I think, wow, no wonder you're closing down branches, right? But a great agent, how we train our team to do so, is to listen, ask open questions, find out why they want to move, where they want to move to, and how that fits the right scenario for them.
I think I was listening to a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and that kind of doctor approach to qualification, the phrase that was used, you need to think like a shrink. And it's a brilliant example, isn't it, of how do you help people? Well, you've got to understand them first. So I love that. And so let's just sort of expose the elephant in the room, probably for both of our industries to some extent. There is still some stigma attached with an estate agent in the same way there is for salespeople, in the same way as for IFAs. Is that a fair assumption of the estate agent industry? What are some of the challenges that restrict you from what you've just eloquently described as being a beautiful way of helping somebody solve a problem called a house, new house? How do we solve this problem of this stereotype? Can it be solved?
A great question. I think the truth is the overall stereotype will be here for many decades because stereotypes stick. The stigma jokes stick and they'll stick for a period of time. If we break it down in reality, though, is when we set up, we knew there was a different way of doing business as estate agents, and we set out to just change that and provide exceptional service. That's why we have so many reviews online at 5-star, and for us, our processes make that work. But as agents in general, there are some real rogues out there. There are agents that cut corners like you wouldn't believe, that don't do most of the operation properly. They don't care about the customer. They don't really care about the result. And there will be those people in any industry that make it worse. In property, it's really unregulated. It's one of the last industries that make no sense to be unregulated in the way it is. You know, to set up, for example, our mortgage broking business, the lengths we have to go through to make sure compliance is correct is amazing.
Because it's heavily regulated, right?
Right, but why is not a estate agency? It should be.
Yeah.
And that will wipe out some of the industry.
You're absolutely right. If there's a form of regulation, then people are far more critical of how they go about their business.
But then again, banking has the same problem. That's heavily regulated. Politics has heavy regulation, and that's still, you know, they still do things they shouldn't there. So will that solve the problem? Who knows?
So accepting that sales clearly is fundamental, what do you do within Minors and Brady to help your team effectively help people solve that housing problem that they've got? How do you help them sell?
I think if we reframe the word sell and reframe it to serve, it comes across in a much more attractive way.
Yeah, I love that.
But actually it changes the view. So we try and say to the team, we do say to the team, we hope it sticks, is don't try and sell, just serve them. How can you serve that person? How can you make sure that their requirements are met and you're serving them? It sounds so simple. And then to the customer, does it sound as harsh? We're salespeople. We're actually, no, we're property consultants and we're here to serve you. That changes the narrative totally. And it's not always perfect, but that's how we're saying to our team, is that find the problem properly, understand it, and then find the solution.
And we might get into this in some of your points, I'm sure we will, but supporting your employees in terms of learning and development, and so making sure that they deliver on that requirement from you. Do you do much training and that kind of thing?
Yeah, certainly. Very regular training. We actually built our own training and development program.
Really? Tell me a little bit about that.
Training for us has been imperative over the years, and we've taken trainees to directors, which is amazing.
Brilliant.
You know, one guy, he's been with us for 7.5 years. He started as a trainee. He was 1 day a week. He had never worked in the industry. He actually did a week's trial at a big corporate agent, who I won't name, and they said to him, "You'll never make an estate agent, don't bother." So he almost went into the Navy. He bumped into Alex Brady at a wedding. Alex got the football on. Sorry, the other guy got the football on for Alex and said, "If I can get the football on, can I have an interview?" So Alex said, "Yeah, all right, no worries," after a few Peronis. Next day, the guy followed up. No sales charisma, no charm. You wouldn't ever think he's a salesperson. 7.5 years on, he's probably one of our best area directors. He banks very, very good money. But because over the time, he was consistent and we helped train him. So for us, we know the model works. As we've now gotten bigger to a team of 65 people at Minors and Brady, we need some structure. We need a plan. So we built from scratch a training and development program for every person in the business. So if you're an administrator, if you're a sales progressor, if you're an estate agent, letting agent, whatever it may be, we've got a whole pack. It's about 50 pages, and it's like a tick box thing that your manager or director has to sign you off on. But it's structured, it's thorough, and it took us about 4 months to build.
Is that unique in your industry? A silly question to ask because you probably don't know, but
independents don't have that at all.
Right.
The big corporates will have a version of that, but I imagine it's not as attractive as it probably could be.
And how do you... Okay, I did twitch a little bit when you said tick box, and I know you don't mean that, but sometimes tick box can mean, we're just going through the motions. How do you avoid that from being a tick box exercise where they're reading through pages to something which becomes relevant and applied?
The reality of what I meant was it has a clear path and a clear roadmap.
Got it, yeah.
Probably the better word to use.
Yeah.
But in my mind, there are boxes that then show you've done.
No, it's a journey. You're taking them on
a
clear journey that totally makes sense. Hence the reason you tick each time you've gone through, right?
Yeah, but it isn't. The purpose of it isn't just to appease a box. It is to actually say, here's a particular segment. Your manager or director has to sign that off. They scale it, they rate it, and you have to hit a certain amount of points to actually pass each mini section. So you have to be tested and trialed, and actually, let's say the situation is booking the perfect valuation, your manager is sitting there listening and grilling it and looking at ways to improve.
Do you do much role play?
Loads.
Brilliant. I love that.
Loads of role play. Yeah, loads. You have to.
What's one of the upsides of role play for you?
Let me ask you a question, Matt. When you first started driving a car, how easy was it, be honest, to get the gearbox in and the clutch and everything else?
It was obviously incredibly difficult. My brain was on fire.
Okay, why didn't you just sit in your chair at home and do it? Why did you have to go into a car? You could have just sat in your chair and tried to drive the car.
Yeah, I need to be in that moment.
Of course you do, because your subconscious needs to take that information in, create its own factual blueprint that works, okay? And the more you do it of repetition, the more your subconscious takes it in, and the more it becomes second nature. You want these things to be subconsciously driven in, with conscious add-ons added to it. So without role play, how are you ever going to be able to deliver that in the right way without constant repetition?
Perfect. Love that. You should do my job.
I can't take your space, Matt.
Well, you'd be surprised. So, and what about the team? They enjoy that kind of role play experience? Do they?
It's fun. Yeah, it's fun.
That's really interesting, because most people, when you mention that, and again, the devil's in the detail. The devil is in the way that you present that scenario to somebody. If you sell it in the wrong way, forgive me for using the expression, but if you sell it in the wrong way, people fear it. If you bring it to them in the right way, people embrace it. So what is it that allows somebody to want to embrace sitting with their boss or a co-worker or a buddy and play the let's pretend game?
So we played the let's pretend game, and at times it didn't work. Okay? And I've done that at other companies when I trained other people. Didn't work. I was too naive. I didn't understand the way to unlock the person to help them get what they need. Before you do any of these things, the question is why?
Yeah.
So we asked them, very simply, why are you here? What do you mean? Why are you here? Well, I'm at work. Okay, but why do you work here? Well, I want to earn some money. Okay, why? You get to the root cause of why that particular person wants that particular thing, whatever it may be, success, career, drive, whatever it may be. Once you get that, it's okay, we're going to help you get that. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this. It's going to lead to that, which leads to that, and that's going to help you get that. Great, I'm invested. I'm in. Cool. You've now got someone engaged for that training session. It's relevant to them. You've made the thing relevant to how it's going to affect them, not, hi there, you have to tick these boxes, otherwise my manager's going to tell me off.
Genius.
It's so simple. It's genius. It's so simple.
It is so simple. Most people struggle to convey that message, but yeah, if you make it important to the other person, guess what? It'll be important to them, and they'll do something. Let's just jump back a little bit into the practical world of selling houses.
Yeah.
So I know nothing about the estate agent industry other than what I read online. I read a recent article where you were being interviewed, and there was some really good feedback about the overarching theme of the economy currently. We've got a general election coming next year in 2024. There is evidence out there of organisations in your industry laying people off.
Lots.
I did actually look at some of the responses to your email post, where some people in your industry were suggesting to become leaner, and actually you were quite the opposite in your approach there. So is there still going to be a need for an estate agent shop on the high street in the next 5 years?
Yes and no. I'll tell you why. The traditional reason of having a high street agency shop is trust, visibility, and because clients felt as though buyers, as they used to, go into a branch, collect all the data, walk out with their little plastic bag of property brochures, okay? That world is changing. But there's a change between a certain generation and the next generation and the new generations, different generations coming through, that have different views on that. The reason why I love the branch situation, or branches in different areas, is because you have togetherness, you have people, you have culture, you have ways of training other people to become better, sharper and stronger. You have mentors and mentees. You have people overhearing conversations and seeing how people conduct themselves to clients. Simple things, Matt. You have to train some trainees. Client walks in. Trainees sit at desk, wave, and ask them a question. They don't get up necessarily. They don't shake their hand. They don't try and open the door for them. They're such basic things, but unless you see someone else do that, how do you know how to do those basic things? Yeah. So for us, there is a need. We're now acquiring 2 other businesses. One has an element of commercial to it. of property, that will mean that we are still investing in shops because we know it works and we believe in it. But there is a huge trend in the industry of taking that away, removing costs, going self-employed, working from your laptop at home or in McDonald's. So we've got a big disparity.
That key word that I took away from that is trust, right? And so what is the experience that people have when they walk into a Minors and Brady's shop? It's interesting, when I was driving over here, I was listening to a podcast from a really good friend of mine, Simon Bokett. He works in the car industry. So he's basically training dealerships. And he was interviewing one of his clients on the podcast. And they were talking about the fundamentals, sometimes referred to as the non-negotiables, that happen when a member of the public walks into a car dealership. There are like 5 or 6 things that always need to happen and always do happen to give that punter a really great time. Is there something similar in your environment?
In that situation, no. No, for us, it's about being human. At that point, don't read off a script. Just be human. Have a chat, sit them down, shake their hand, smile. Again, so basic things that they don't really warrant us to delve into too much detail, but it's about creating a human-to-human connection where the person feels comfortable. Because in some of the branches, they're noisy. Phones are going. One day in Wroxham, maybe 2 weeks ago, there were 7 clients that came in coincidentally, all in the same front part of the office. There's no space. Obviously couples, they weren't 7 separate parties, but it was noisy. It was intimidating. I sat there and thought, wow, this is going to be actually quite a lot for the clients. Make a joke out of it being busy. At least we're still busy. Winter, grab a seat. Would you like a water? They're tiny details, but they just make the person feel more comfortable.
Great. Before we get into your 3 key areas, I think you mentioned it a little while ago, and it certainly mentioned it in the article that you were interviewed for. Humans are our greatest asset. What do you mean by that?
So we're in a world where AI is evolving, technology is evolving, and there is too much reliance upon technology saving the world all the time. The reality is, especially in the property business, people, humans, are our greatest asset. And that's saying that actually people are the most important part of what we do. I see constantly online, and you'll see me debate it on LinkedIn, we've got this new tech thing, we've got that new tech thing, we're getting rid of our people, we're leaning, we're making the business leaner, right? Well, in doing so, you're losing your greatest asset. If you're a caveman cutting up your food, your greatest asset is your knife. Well, sharpen it, make it great, make it the best knife possible to cut through your meat, ready for the family to eat, right? You need your team prepared. So humans, for us, people, they're your greatest asset. So the question is, how do you find them? Recruitment. How do you interview them? How do you hire them? How do you train them? And how do you develop them so that they stay for a long period of time and develop into even better people for your business?
That's a great point, actually, on that one. So let's just tuck into recruitment. How do you as an industry recruit? How do you as a company recruit? Is there some kind of guidelines around that? Or is that what separates the wheat from the chaff? That's what separates the good guys from the bad guys?
Lots. And when I speak to other agency owners, I can't believe they don't have any process or structure.
But you do?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, we have a very thorough, very clear plan of who we want to hire, what roles and what characteristics would suit different parts of the business. Because we've got trainees in sales, trainees in lettings, we've got property managers, we've got sales progression, we've got marketing, we've got such a variety of different positions, and each position generally has a certain characteristic that would do better at that particular thing. We also look at background. Background's really important. You know, I remember listening to Sir Alex Ferguson, who was my idol as a kid, talking about their background. Where have they come from? What's their previous experiences? We found certain industries are amazing at recruiting from. I won't give everything away, but one thing I will give away is McDonald's. They are brilliant to recruit from.
Are they?
Process-driven, organised, structured, used to being part of a very fast-paced industry. Perhaps don't earn commission, which they don't. Okay, well, how can we take the hard-working people who are process-driven, who actually get spoken to like crap most of the time, into an industry where they can thrive, be great, and build upon their success?
I love that. And
that's one of many things that I won't give away, but that's one nugget someone can take away.
I'm grateful for that. And there will be listeners who think, bloody hell, that's a great idea. And it's so simple when you think about it as well, because they're in the public eye, especially if they're front of house. So they're all the component pieces you need. But you just touched on something there, Jamie, which is interesting. Process-driven. Why is process-driven, why is that behaviour important for you?
I have a phrase. When you mix great people and great processes, magic happens.
Tell me more.
People are your greatest asset. And people are the thing that connects one human to another. which is great. But people are emotional. I'm emotional. Things happen. You're stressed. You're busy. Too much is going on. I'm juggling Minors and Brady, Norfolk Mortgages, 360 Growth Coach. All these things are happening, a podcast. If I don't have processes, I lose time, I'm not efficient, and I make big mistakes. So if your people have those processes to follow and they have their personality, amazing. And in our industry, what you often get is a great independent who, big personality, but processes are all over the place. Or a big corporate, great processes, but robots is a harsh word to use, but generally the people aren't allowed to be themselves.
And just, again, I appreciate you being really candid with some of the things that you're sharing, but just give me an insight or an example of a process within an estate agent. When I hear the word process, most people would associate the word process with manufacturing.
Okay, so if you go into any Minors and Brady branch, they will tell you exactly what we're doing on a Monday morning and a Monday afternoon and a Tuesday morning and a Tuesday afternoon. They can predict for you the month, probably the quarter today. They know exactly the role first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning, viewing feedback from the day before.
Okay.
So we have a morning meeting at 8:30. It's a jokey quiz for 10 minutes, and it's the silliest thing you can think of, or the thing to relax the team.
That's the objective, is it?
Relax the team, get some creativity in, have a bit of fun for 10 minutes, right? Smiles all round.
And is that based on individual locations, or is that company-wide?
Company-wide.
It's a Zoom or a Teams or something, is it?
Apologies. All individual meetings, but
Okay.
they have their own quizzes, their
Got it.
own, I suppose. It might be a Disney quiz tomorrow morning, Matt. Okay? We've lightened the room up, we're all talking, it's all okay. 8:40, 8:45 to 9, business, what we've done yesterday, what's the urgent thing to attack, what deals could be tied today, and what's the plan of action today. It's clear. 9 till roughly 11, viewing feedback from the day before. And again, I could go on about loads of processes, but the structure means that if you get in, you're confused, you're tired, you know where you need to be.
And that's then replicated, so you can go into any one of your businesses and pretty much know that, well, it's 10 o'clock, I know what's coming next, kind of thing.
Yeah. Now, there is leeway, of course, around that, but they're the general plans of where they need to be. Every Wednesday and Thursday, we'll speak to every client on the market without fail. If you're on the market with Minors and Brady, you will have an update from us once a week without fail.
Because that's normally the big bugbear, isn't it, with estate agents?
Never hear from them, no idea, promised the earth, never stayed in touch. So we buck that trend. We've transformed our local industry, hence why we've grown to Norfolk's highest selling agent. Processes are there, but the people are there to understand the problems and the solutions.
Love it. Listen, we've talked enough about estate agents.
Too true.
we need to spend the quality time that we have left looking at these three areas of knowledge, wisdom, and I'm grateful that you're willing to share this stuff. I'm really curious to learn more about these things. Number one was turning pain into success.
And you can reframe that however you wish to, but the reality is I'm not special because I had a tough upbringing. Other people have had way worse scenarios, okay? And there will continue to be many people who have lots of challenges growing up, or even challenges in their 20s, 30s, 40s. You have two routes and you have a choice. You can either choose the route of feeling sorry for yourself and victim mentality, or you can choose the route where actually I'm going to turn this into something. I'm going to use the pain, the frustration, the letdown. My partner broke up with me. I lost my house. My job went. My parents passed away. You can name a huge magnitude of things here, okay? But you have routes. You have ways in which you can take that. And for me, when I hear people say, I can't do that because X, Y, Z happened. So why? Because that thing happened. Okay, well, let's totally change that and let's use that. Let's use that pain, that energy source into something that's actually going to be productive for you. We mentioned earlier, some of the best people can do that and they're driven for life. A good friend of mine, he works for us. I won't say his name in case he doesn't want all the info out, but he lost his mother when he was, I think 11 or 12. I lost mine when I was 10 in theory. I didn't see her.
Yeah.
And he ended up sleeping on a sofa, homeless, at 17, with no income, no forward thinking, no life ahead of him. He's now grown into a director. He's used all that pain, all that frustration. He's gone from sleeping on a sofa, homeless.
How do people make that switch, though, Jamie? That's the hard part, isn't it? Because I totally understand and agree with what you're saying, but how does somebody do that?
First is full accountability. I am accountable and fully in control of what I do next, not the previous circumstance or what he said or she said.
But that itself is a challenging place to get yourself to, isn't it? Because accepting and admitting the fact that you have full accountability, which I totally agree with, by the way, unless you've got that knowledge, it's a difficult one to accept to some extent, or at least understand.
It is, but if someone's listening to this who has that pain, great, you're already steps ahead. You're making the effort to listen to a podcast. You're making the effort to learn and grow your brain and observe more information than your self-belief, okay? Or the limiting beliefs you tell yourself.
Yeah.
That's the first step. So if you're listening to this, great, you're miles ahead of most people.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And so practical steps for making that change, I guess some people will have it within them. Others probably need to reach out and seek the advice of others, I guess.
The first step is understanding that other people are in your boat. You're not alone. You're not the only person who's lost a parent or the only person that's been dumped. These things, unfortunately, do happen in life, okay? That's the first step.
Yeah.
Second step is say, okay, what am I going to do about it? Am I either, because someone's passed away in my life, going to feel sorry for myself and blame the world, or am I going to turn that energy into something else? Turn that energy into something that's productive, that actually could give me a net positive result at the end of it. How do you do that? Okay, well, you just get your pen and paper out. Where do you want to be?
Yeah, it's the
what job do you want?
It's the 2 or 3 examples you've already given, which is let's reverse engineer this
Yeah.
thing, right?
So just build, literally write down, where would you like to be? Doesn't matter how unrealistic it is. Let the pen flow. I want to be a millionaire with a boat. Okay, where? How does that look? By what age? Okay, let's then work backwards. What would you need to do to get to that stage step by step? I'm working with a coaching client at the moment, and their goals they feel are so unrealistic, but they're not. And I can see that, but they can't see that yet. And when we broke it down into a roadmap and did step by step all the way back, I used this one phrase: to eat an elephant, you have to take bite by bite.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
Yeah, you've got to break it down into smaller pieces, haven't you?
Yeah, so it seems more realistic.
Very good. And so it's very much tapping then into that away or to motivation, isn't it? Am I moving away from pain? And if I am, how painful is it? Is it enough for me to get moving? And am I moving towards pleasure? And if so, is it pleasurable enough to allow me to keep doing it? Because most people I've found, certainly people that I've worked with, they buy into the to motivation. They want that thing over there. Funny enough, this time of year, where are we? Middle of November. We're coming up to that time of year again when everyone starts making those New Year's resolutions and starts to set goals. Some people fall off those goals quite quickly, don't they?
By February is the stat.
Typically
So
February.
I think it's 90% of people drop off by Feb or something stupid.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
For sure. And so how do we help people stay on the journey? Is there a process that you can, or some kind of advice that you can help people try and stay with the routine, or does it simply come down to the individual desire?
It's a great question, and I can't get into everyone's brains. But when we coach the team, and I coach people that I work with, I find out that pain. Why do you want this? Because X, Y, Z happened, and I need to make sure that I don't feel that way again. Okay, let's go down that journey. And when they do drop off, or when they are being lazy, or when they can't be bothered anymore, I just ask the same question. Well, you told me you didn't want to feel like a loser again. You told me that you didn't want to have someone else to have control over your destiny. Is that not the case still?
Yeah.
It is. Okay, out they go and do the thing. So if you're by yourself doing that without a coach or trainer, write down the things that you don't want to be and the things you do want to be, and just pull your hand out and take the choice.
And it does come down to repetition as well, doesn't it? There has to be a process which says, like, every day or every week or whatever it might be, I need to go and check in with myself and find out how I'm doing on that journey.
Yeah, and there's various things you can do. Men should journal. Men don't, but they should journal. They should review their goals daily. And I remember on LinkedIn getting hammered for this by some people because I said I check out my goals every single day, my life goals. No, you shouldn't do that. Well, it works for me. And actually, on a Harvard study, only 3% of people write down their goals, clear, defined goals. Those 3% earn 10 times the other 97%. Just look at that fact, though, Matt.
I'm already sold on that. And I just point to anybody in professional sport who's ever achieved anything. It's because they were on the goal-setting journey where they were committed to it and they were checking in with themselves on a daily basis, which is basically what you've just described. The journaling thing's an interesting one. Before we go on to number 2, I was having lunch yesterday with somebody who's also a coach, and that person was talking about why men don't journal as much. I've got this feeling that at certain age groups find it quite challenging for other people to find out that they journal. Sometimes people find the challenge is people might pick this up and read it. Now, I know you well enough in the last 45 minutes we spent you don't give a shit about that because it's got nothing to do with anybody else, it's me. But I can see how some people will be challenged by that. It might be one of the reasons why guys find it difficult to do the journaling thing.
I think it's actually to do with their mates as well.
Yeah, peer pressure.
And that stems back from us being tribal humans and us needing to be accepted by the group and us needing to be, I suppose, on the same path as the group. And if they don't do it, I shouldn't do it, because actually that meant our survival. And we evolved too quickly. We weren't supposed to evolve all the things that we have in front of us today, and we still fall into that trap. I do and say things that I know is not going to be popular, but I wholeheartedly believe in them and I wholeheartedly know it's the right thing to do, so I will stand by that. And at times I will do things that the crowd don't agree with or perhaps think is cool, but that's okay.
One practical upside for journaling?
I mean, there's so many. Brain dumping your stress, first one. Understanding your thoughts. As I said, going back to the goal perspective, you get into a habit of writing things down. Well, if 3% of the population write their goals down and they earn 10 times everyone else, and that 10 times everyone else isn't just cash, it's more time off, better holidays, taking my partners out for nice meals. You know, all these things that you can do. It's not the money, it's the things that money can provide you, the freedom, the flexibility. You know, when I look back now, when I moved into my first house, I could only afford a kettle and a toaster, right? I could barely go out for dinner. I couldn't afford to do a lot. 18 months of running my business, I didn't pay myself. Me and Alex didn't earn a wage. People misunderstand that. We might have a nice car and house now, but back then we could not afford to pay ourselves, right?
Yep.
Now,
that's the journey though, right? That's essential.
It is, but the reason why we are passionate about earning money is for flexibility and freedom. It's to provide for our family and do things. So we reverse engineer that back. I want to provide for my family. I need to earn money. I need to earn money. Well, I've just given you a free snippet. If Harvard University say that writing down your goals is likely 10 times, possibly 10 times more money than someone else who doesn't, why would you not do that?
Yeah, agreed. Okay, let's move on to number 2.
Sorry, Matt, very passionate about some of these
things.
No,
I love it. We could spend a lot longer talking about that subject matter.
Yeah.
But it's just brilliant to get your insight on that. Let's talk about number 2, which was around winning culture, yeah?
So if you're going to scale something, if you're a one-man band, it's not as much of an issue. But the winning culture is you. You are the winner, okay, or the person that believes they are or wants to be. If you're to scale a business, culture is something that I was never taught at school. I did business A-level, economics A-level. No, the things that you don't get told. You know, I don't remember doing a course on culture, which is fascinating. So if people are your greatest asset, you need to learn how to create the environment in which people can thrive. Goes back to the classic phrase of you put the right, I think it's vegetable in the greenhouse, glass house, right? And it grows, okay? The right environment. How do we create the right environment for our people? I genuinely believe that for an estate agency office, we have the best environment. I genuinely, wholeheartedly believe that. And I believe that's the case because people feel valued, they feel heard, they have a clear path of where they want to go, and they have people around them that are doing the thing they're asking them to do. That stems from the top. That stems from the leaders at the top, the business owners. So in any business you are in today, people are looking at you. They're looking at how you dress. They're looking at your car. Not necessarily what type it is. Where are you parking it? Is it clean? Okay. And that culture stems from the top all the way down. You know, if you go out to a work event, are you being courteous to the person who's serving you? All these small things instill culture. But winning culture is about not letting go. Winning culture is about wanting that business so badly that you will relentlessly chase for it. Winning culture is about not accepting poor standards. There's a great terminology of A players, B players, C players that I heard, I think Alex Hormozy talk about. And it's the A players will work 10 times harder than everyone else and feel like they're not working hard enough. B players, steady eddies, do a good job, but they leave at 5:30. C players ruin the environment. They are poisonous to the teams at times, okay? And that is culture. If you have loads of A players, your business thrives. If you have too many C players, the A players hate the culture and go.
So here's a question for you. Let's say you acquire another business and within that team there are a handful of A's, handful of B's, handful of C's.
Yeah.
Where are you throwing your time, effort and resource?
All.
Why do you say all?
Because the aim of that is you want to get your C's, if you can, into B's and into A's, which is possible. It is possible.
There's a reason they're C's though.
Yeah, but part of it could be how they feel, and part of it could be poor training. Part of it could be that at home they've got loads going on. So if you find that out and try and find a solution, you can level them up those lettering systems.
That's
okay.
fair. Yeah.
So that's the first step. Identify who's who and try and move them up. How do I make the C's better? How can I try and push B's into the A's? And how can I make those A's feel so valued, but not like they've got it all? Because the A players, if they feel like they've made it, their motivation goes. The A players need to feel like they're constantly in pursuit of more.
Any particular strategy that you adopt to do that?
Lots. You
want to share one?
I won't praise my A players as much as I praise my B and C players. My A players know they will go and break records, and I'll say, that's not bad, but can you do it again next month? And it does keep that mentality going. I know because it worked for me.
Right.
If someone was blowing smoke up my backside, I'd get lazy.
That's a really interesting insight, actually. And so a winning culture within Minors and Brady.
We have leaderboards every week.
Do you?
Every week we have KPIs that go out to the whole company.
Okay,
So
that's interesting.
Every person in the business sees all the leaderboards. Nothing is hidden.
Do each of the team have individual targets?
Yeah.
They do. So you're very much target focused.
Absolutely, for sure.
And that's all visible.
Visible to the whole company. Nothing is hidden.
And the person down the bottom of the list, how do you approach that?
Depends on their experience level, but we show them where do you want to be on the list.
Okay, I get that, but I'm talking more about how do you protect that individual who might be acing it 6 months ago and for whatever reason is going through a little bit of a period why they've fallen down Are you throwing a little bit of extra time and effort at them? Are you pulling them aside and asking them what's going on?
Yeah, so we have monthly one-to-ones with the whole team. We used to conduct them ourselves, but now time just doesn't allow it because there's too many people.
Sure.
So our managers and directors and senior team will conduct those. And the aim is to find out, first of all, how are things at home? So important. First of all, forget work. How are things at home? What's happening in your personal life?
Great.
Are things good? Are things not? We delve into it. People share all sorts of things with us so that you keep in confidence, but actually we help support them in that personal challenge that they may have. Because actually, Matt, if somebody is underperforming at work and they're bottom of the list and they were once doing well, 9 times out of 10, that's a home problem.
Yeah, it's an interesting point.
Partner, finance issues, health issues. One thing I found, the recurring theme that we found was that people weren't exercising enough or their sleep pattern was off. You know, when do you go to bed? Not too late, only 12. 12? 12?
Yeah.
It's these kind of things that domino effect. How's your sleep? How's your nutrition, right? Are you going out partying every weekend? Are you going to the gym 3-4 times a week?
Yeah.
I haven't been to the gym in 2 months. Okay, but 2 months ago you were smashing it, and in that 2-month period you're no longer smashing it, and you're no longer going to the gym. Shall we look at the two trends?
Brilliant. Okay, so number 3, what you termed as a 360 approach to life. What does that mean, Jamie?
Yeah, so I've set up 360 Growth Coach, which is out of a hobby, really.
How did you start that and why?
I kept getting people ask me to mentor them. And I thought, I can't really do this. It's not really my thing. I'm a property guy. And then I tried a couple, really helped them, got a real buzz out of it. And that almost reiterated back my point of loving to see people do better and loving to see them succeed and people that really want to do well. For me, I can even feel it inside me now, a warm feeling. That for me means everything. So having a 360 approach to life and business goes back to the point I shortly made about the people. If your home balance is out, if you haven't got a steady home life, if you're not going to the gym, if you're not looking after your body, your mind, your tribe, all of these things, then it's going to be hard for you to consistently over time be a high achiever. Really hard. It's not impossible, but it's really difficult.
So it's the sum of the parts really that makes it work, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I felt that because I was a high performer at another firm when I was an employee, but I was burning the candle at both ends. You know, partying, drinking too much, just living a wild young lad's lifestyle, and it would hit me in hard burnouts. So I thought I was a high performer, but actually I was only in spells, looking back. So if you want to grow your business or you want to grow your team or you want to, maybe you're 20 years old listening and you want to get to a certain position in your life, that's fine. But you are going to have better understanding of what affects your performance. So the 360 life segments are fun and play, your tribe, your career, relationships, which is obviously romance, health, family, personal growth and finances. Now it's not too dissimilar to the classic wheel of life, okay, but there's some slight tweaks in there. And then you've got your business broken down into segments. So we've got marketing, people, compliance, 5-star service, a regular SWOT analysis, KPIs that needs to be measured in every business, your energy, a CEO is actually Chief Energy Officer, new sales, and then finances. So it's a broken down segment for every person. And for every business owner, we go through your life first, then your business, and we see how everything scores and interlinks.
Kind of almost want to do another podcast, actually. Deep dive into some of that stuff.
Sometimes you're not performing in your business, you don't know why your confidence isn't there, you're not sure where the self-belief's gone, but actually your romantic life is horrendous and you haven't put the 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
Okay, take your partner for a nice date. Buy her flowers. When's the last time you did that?
Very good. Okay, time is like killed us. I want to hit you with a few quick fires, if that's okay with you. Biggest sale ever. It doesn't have to be monetary value. It can just be the one that you think, holy cow, Matt, that was the one thing that was a real punch the air moment. What was that one?
Okay, in the earlier days, we had 2 deals going through, quite big deals for us back then. And it was due to exchange that week after maybe 12 weeks of, well, probably longer, of pushing and shoving. And the day before exchange, the buyer withdrew via email. So the whole deal fell apart last minute. We were about to lose out on best part of 20 grand. And back then, we did not have money. We did not have a cash reserve. Stressing out all night, worried, couldn't sleep, got on my email, sent a real Barack Obama length email to this buyer, persuading them as to why they should buy it. Thought that's never going to work. And the next day they carried on, bought it and exchanged.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you still kept that email?
No,
Framed it?
I could probably find it. No, probably find it. But me and Alex, we couldn't believe it. Yeah, I think we went out on the beers after that because it was like a wow, that was dead in the water.
And there was so much hanging on it. That's why it was
20 grand back then was everything. It was our cash flow.
Let's flip that. Biggest mistake or biggest lesson you've ever learned?
Don't hire partners. Don't hire good friends.
Why?
More often than not, things go wrong, and if they go wrong, you've lost a good member of staff and you've lost a good friend stroke partner.
And they will go wrong because that's just business, right?
And I've had 3 out of 4 go really wrong. Really, really wrong. And, learnt the hard way.
So the takeaway is don't hire friends and family.
Spot on. Just don't do it. I was told not to do it as well, but I thought I'd be different, and yeah.
Is there, there might not always be, but is there one piece of advice that sort of sticks with you or something that you would always share with others? Or if not, is there a kind of a mantra or a quote that resonates with you most?
Lots. One, which again is taken from elsewhere, is outwork your self-doubt. Okay, that's a clean way of me saying just outwork everyone else. If you're not that good, just outwork them. In our industry, to be a great estate agent, 75% is just work rate and attitude.
Yeah.
And it is that simple. People don't believe that. I don't have the skills. Well, you do. You just have to outwork everyone else.
You do.
It's that easy.
Yeah.
All you have to do is work hard.
Don't be surprised at the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do, yeah?
Spot on.
Yeah. Jamie, you're a busy guy, right? Got loads and loads of plates spinning, enjoying a lot of success and will continue to do so. Who holds you accountable? And you can't say yourself, because I accept that. But who holds you accountable?
Good question. One thing I've done which rubs people up the wrong way, and maybe if they're listening, this will explain why I do it, is I openly show and share what I'm going to do. So I openly to social media and say, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. Okay. Now, they may see that as he's talking rubbish, he's not going to do it. But for me, I'm holding myself accountable to everyone else. Okay? So if I sit down with you, Matt, after this and tell you my ambitions, it's not fluff. I will go and do it. I have to because I've already said it. Okay? And I'm going to look an idiot if I don't do it.
I like that.
So people think, oh, he's just throwing these great positive things. He's going to set an agency up and scale and set up a mortgage firm. I'll go and do it. I'm committed. I will go and do the things I say I'm going to do. And people will look back and go, yeah, actually, he did say he was going to do that and he did deliver. So for me, I haven't had a set mentor or a proper guide, but I've always spoke out things I'm going to do. And in my mind, I'm too fearful of failing because I've declared what I'm going to go and do.
So basically, it's the public that holds you accountable.
Yeah. Yeah, again, rightly or wrongly, maybe it isn't the right way to do it, but for me it works.
If it works for you, hey, it works for you. What's the favourite podcast in the library?
Oh, I mean, anything Alex or Mosey stuff is just...
Is it?
Oh, he is the GOAT. he is the greatest of all time. Anything Alex Hormozy stuff is fantastic. He's very honest, very clear, and he breaks things down in an easy to understand fashion. So for me, it's anything Hormozy. Anywhere that he's on, I will listen to. David Goggins stuff I also quite like as well.
Do you?
Yeah, it soon wakes me up.
One piece of advice, if we can try and do this. So if we go back to those 3 key lessons or pieces of wisdom that you shared, if I said to you in one sentence or one response, how can somebody turn pain into success?
Take full accountability for every day thereafter. Take full accountability for everything that happens moving forwards, because you are in control of whatever you want to do and become.
Advice to anyone who's running a business where they haven't got a winning culture. What one thing could they do tomorrow to start that process?
Create togetherness in the team. Find a way to link everyone together over food, over beers, over some commonality, but get people talking and engaging as a group. That's the first step.
To create a 360 approach to life and business, you've got to start with the first step. What's the first step?
First step is actually being honest with yourself. Most people aren't. Make a note, be honest with yourself, accept the harsh truths, and what could you do? How can you actually make an impact on that thing? Full accountability.
Perfect. Got one more question to ask you. Before I do, happy for people to reach out?
Yeah, anywhere. On most things, it's just Jamie Minors. So Instagram at Jamie Minors, LinkedIn, just search Jamie Minors in the search bar. But yeah, quite easy.
Someone's looking to buy a house, rent a house, or sell a house. Where do we send them?
minorsandbrady.co.uk. So go on the website, find the relevant branch for you. They can still message me privately, and I'll still jump on it and look after them, make sure they're all sorted.
A shout out for the coaching business?
Yeah, 360 Growth Coach. So website hasn't gone live yet. I've got great clients, a really great relationship, and they're moving forwards, which makes me happy. So again, you can find me on Instagram or LinkedIn. Website will be live probably in 3 to 4 weeks.
Podcast still doing that?
Yeah, I've just recorded, or I'm recording 7 this week. So I paused for a little while to prioritise other things. Norfolk Mortgages, another one. If you're getting a mortgage or need a mortgage, head to Norfolk Mortgages. But the Growthcast will be out probably 28th of December.
It's called The Growthcast.
Correct.
There's a whole bunch of back episodes anyway, so there's a bit of binging for anybody who hasn't found that podcast yet. I've listened to 2 or 3 on there. They're excellent.
Thank you.
So looking forward to the next few that come out. Final question. You come across a life-changing sum of money, and Minors and Brady is successful. It just sails off in the distance and carries on doing its thing. You sell your other businesses, you don't need those anymore because you've got this life-changing sum of money. What do you do next?
I don't. That's the thing. I would still wake up tomorrow. I would still drive my businesses. I would still help my people. I would still coach other business owners because I do it, because I enjoy it. I love driving others on. So no, it doesn't change. The only thing I might do is I might buy another place in Marbella or somewhere else. But my role day to day does not change. I would still be doing the same things.
Jamie Minors, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it.
You know, for someone who's already achieved so much at a relatively young age of just 31, I'm really excited to see where Jamie can take things in the future. A great communicator, I'm sure you can agree. Highly knowledgeable with a real thirst to learn even more, and very much a serving others first mentality. And we all know that givers gain. So I wish him all the success that's absolutely coming his way. Folks, what's happening in Sales Cadence? Well, tickets for the next Leads to Sales event on the 26th of January 2024 go on sale on the 8th of December. Just 10 tickets, half a day with me, teaching you how to convert leads into sales. If you're spending cash on lead generation and creating sales qualified leads, but struggle to turn them into orders, I can help, so make sure you put yourself in that room. The link is in the show notes, or you can head over to the website salescadence.co.uk. Another episode dispatched. Hope you enjoyed it. I absolutely love bringing it to you, and look forward to bringing you the next one in a couple of weeks' time. And my guest on episode 51 is Scott Russell. He's the founder of Paddy and Scott's Coffee, and let me tell you folks, this one's an absolute humdinger. You're not going to want to miss that one, so make sure if you haven't subscribed, hit that button so you get that podcast in a couple of weeks' time. Until then, folks, remember, everyone you meet in town, they're in sales. Everyone's selling something. Whatever it is that you're selling, be your best, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Sales Cadence podcast.